Welcome to Musings on Monday. I'm Amanda, and this is my cat Squeak, and she's going to be here for at least part of it. She just has to be in my lap, and she'll meow if I don't let her, so this is probably better. Thank you, yeah. Before I get started, I just want to also mention something. So there's been a lot of stuff going on in the world right now, I think, as you know, with Black Lives Matter, stuff going on with trans rights, LGBT rights. There's just the COVID, there's like a million different things. So one thing that I've kind of like felt a little bit overwhelmed with the amount of information that's coming out and about the amount of things that are happening that, you know, I want to do something to help. But I don't necessarily have the stamina to do everything in one day. So what I've done is, you'll notice under my highlights for my stories, I have one that's called Resist. And in that one I've kind of compiled some resources and stuff, both for me and for other people, that you can look back and have directives on what to do. Because especially right now there's a lot of stuff coming out, and I know that as the weeks go on some information is going to die down, and I don't want to forget to do stuff. I want to make sure that I'm checking back in and remembering to call, to donate, to sign, to, you know, do the things that I need to do to help with what's going on. And so that's kind of what the Resist tab is. I did it both for myself and for other people. I just wanted to make sure that information that I wanted wasn't getting lost. And so the main thing is just for directive stuff you can do to help, stuff you can do to help yourself, to help other people. So that's what that is for, and so I hope you check that out. And I hope that you're doing well. And so then I will probably go into the video. So this is my first Musings on Monday video that I've done in a while. And I do hope that, you know, everyone thinks that it's okay that I'm doing this. If you guys think it's too soon, or if I'm talking too much or whatever, you can always let me know. So, yeah. This week's video is about Freaks. So, Freaks was the book that I published in 2017, and it's a standalone. It's my first standalone in a while, and it was kind of, it's YA, and I would definitely classify it as kind of like a new wave gothic romance for sure. So Freaks I started writing, so it was published in 2017, and I think I started writing it in like 2014 or 2015, honestly, I don't remember. No, it would have been before that. I think I started writing it in 2013, or maybe even before that. It was a long time. But, so it was something that I started writing just for myself. I was kind of getting stressed and overwhelmed, and, you know, with being, I love writing, I do, but when you're publishing books and you're getting reviews and you're getting sales and you're getting all this input and stuff coming in from so many different people, and that can be very stressful for someone like me. And so I wanted to write something that I wanted to write just because I loved. I wanted to remind myself why I had originally fallen in love with writing. You know, because I love writing, but it really had kind of started to feel like a job, and I was struggling to connect. But so with Freaks, it was just me writing a book that I wanted to write. And so there it is. It's set in 1987 because I love the 80s. I also liked that one thing that I like about stuff being set in the past is then you don't have to worry about the cell phones and technology and internets and stuff kind of getting in the way of the story. And you don't have to worry about, like, well, how can they not have signal or whatever. So because this one was a little bit more of a creature feature with a monster kind of stalking the carnival, I wanted to set it in the 80s, and mostly I just love the 80s, and so that was a big part of it too. The Freaks was inspired by a lot of the kind of like pulpy horror novels that I read a lot as a kid, and some of the pulpy horror movies that I watched as a kid. I would say that the biggest inspirations with it were like the movie The Lost Boys. That was a big one. They're also Pretty in Pink, Pet Sematary. Silver Bullet was a big one. I loved the Silver Bullet, the graphic novel of I don't remember. Was Cycle of, I think it was Stephen King wrote like this novella or something, or a short story called Cycle of the Werewolf, and then it became the movie with Corey Haim called Silver Bullet. It was like this kind of like cheesy werewolf thing. That was like a big inspiration too. So yeah, that was what I was going into. There's stuff that I really enjoyed escaping to that's a little cheesy, a little campy, and fun, I guess. And so I loved the carnival world. I mean, initially when I started writing Freaks, the carnival was bigger. There was more characters, but as I got into it and I started, as I'm writing, like, I knew I wanted it to be a standalone. People had been saying, I had heard from readers that they wanted standalones, that some of them were just kind of like done, like, not done with series, but you can get it burnt out. Sometimes it's nice to just jump into a story and know, like, this is it. Like, I'm gonna get the whole thing and then just go home. And then other times I like writing series, I like reading series. So this was just something to do a little different, to try something a little different for me, that I hadn't done in a while. Because I have done standalones before, but it had been a while. Yeah, I just love, like, the traveling carnival and the family. Freaks is also my first book that has a non-white lead. I've always been, like, a little nervous, I think, about writing the main POV character as a person of color, because I am white. I mean, I think you can see that I am white. And so, like, I want to have my world populated with characters that are realistic and vibrant and diverse, but I am also just nervous of having the interior of a character and doing something wrong, was really just doing anything harmful to the community. It just, like, the point of having this and having representation is to have good representation, and if I'm gonna have bad representation, I don't want to do it. And so I'm ashamed to admit that it took me as long as it did to kind of overcome that fear, because I really realized that it wasn't fair to my readers, that I was being ridiculous, and I had to, woman up and kind of overcome this, because it wasn't a good enough reason. I've always said that, if any of my books are to become movies, or even in your own head, the dream cast you want for them, feel free to race swap anyone, especially with my older books where I didn't do a good job of writing, I would have characters in my mind that would be people of color, but I would be afraid to specifically say, this character is such and such race, because then I could get criticism for it. I could do something wrong, and I didn't want to open myself up to the criticism, honestly. I mean, that was part. I didn't want to do anything harmful to myself, to other people, and I'm not proud of the parts of me that, didn't do the right thing for selfish reasons. Absolutely. And so I think one reason why it was easier for me to write these characters as people of color, and when I had been struggling with it in the past, is because with this book I did start writing it for myself, and I said, you need to do this. You need to actually specifically say this. You can't just let readers guess and assume. That's putting the onus on them, and that people are going to default white. Well, I know. I mean, I don't know what you know, I guess, but like, that was me talking to myself, is that characters will default white and straight and cisgender unless you say otherwise. And so even though I can't put that onus on that. I want the young adults reading my books to see themselves, and that's really important to me. So, with Mara Besnick, she's Filipino and Indian and Egyptian, and I think a few other things. The carnival that she travels with, Gideon Devoran's traveling, this is traveling sideshow? Gosh, I can't believe I should have looked before I did this video. It really is a family for her, though, and one criticism that I get about the book is that it's an insta romance. But I will say, like, that was something I did deliberately. I knew I wanted an insta romance. That was just what I felt like. I mean, part of that was why I wanted to have only one book, too, because if you have multiple books, it makes sense to have things be a bit more slow burn. They get to know each other. But with one book, you do have to condense it a little bit, and the idea within this one is Mara's coming in with the traveling sideshow, and the whole book only takes place over 10 days, so it kind of has to be an instant romance, otherwise it's not going to work. I mean, if to get to know each other slowly wouldn't work. Sometimes you do meet people, and especially when you're a teenager, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You do. I mean, she's 17 years, they're 17, 18 years old, and it's like, Yeah, sometimes you fall in love fast. Sometimes you do reckless, ridiculous things. And sometimes I think there's this weird, like, that YA books, like, they need to be mature. And I think with writing young adult, I really feel like you get criticisms that go both ways, because a lot of times the characters are overly mature and responsible, but then other times they can be, like, condescending and stuff too. And teenagers, especially teenagers now today, are very savvy, and they've a lot of them are very well read and know what's going on and have a good grasp of what's going on in the world, and they have high standards for everything in their life, and they really kind of should, because they're so educated and informed about what's going on, that it's easier for them to have demands on their entertainment and on the things that they consume, because they know about them. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I also think that the idea that teenagers don't fall in love easily and do ridiculous things and get carried away is kind of missing the point of being a teenager. You're not fully cooked yet, you know? You're still learning, you're still growing, your hormones and everything are going too. There's all these other pulls and factors that it's not always easy to be a mature, responsible person. And there's people who are in their 40s and 50s who aren't mature or responsible and who do ridiculous things and who fall in love like that too. So I mean, it's a thing that happens for good and bad. And so, and that was just but this is the book I wanted to write at the time. I really just wanted a lot of romance and kissing, and then campy fun and 80s music and family and friends, and then this kind of like eerie gothic southern town that's full of an ancient evil, maybe, you know. And so that's what the book is. I mean, I think that's what it is, and I had a lot of fun writing it. There's actually, you know, a lot of times I talk about the things that I would change in my books, but there's very little that I think I would change on Freaks. I basically love most things about it. I mean, I really liked writing it. I liked the atmosphere. I love the carnival. It's definitely a book that I would have enjoyed when I was a teenager, so maybe that's it. Like, I wrote this book for teenager me. And that doesn't mean that everyone will like it or everyone has to or anything. It's just, I think that teenager me would have loved it. And I hope that other teenagers love it. So one other really cool thing about Freaks that I wanted to talk to you guys about and kind of just show you in case you didn't know, is that, so Freaks takes place over the course of like 10 days. And so I wanted to kind of just like distinguish the days. So for each section, the day happens, there's like this neat little tarot card there that has the day, and then it's a tarot card that kind of like shows what the chapters are going to be at. The tarot cards are mentioned to throughout the book, and some of the chapters are named after tarot cards. Mara's mother is a fortune teller, and she reads tarot cards and stuff like that. So the tarot cards are talked about in the book, and I just thought, I just like it. And so if you're also wondering, like, is there anything special about March 1987 that you said it in? And no, not really. No, I just picked March 1987 because I like the 80s, and then I wanted to pick, I knew that I wanted the story to take place around an equinox, and so that's why it was March. So, yeah. Thank you for tuning into Musings on Monday. This one was about Freaks, and Freaks is available now wherever books are sold. You can check my bio, the link in my bio, and go to my website and you'll find out more about where to get my books, including where to pre-order Lost City, which will be out July 7th, 2020, and any of my other books. I think I'll also be posting some more stuff about Freaks this week. Like, I'll probably put up the playlist for it later on. I just haven't put it up yet. And I'll be back later on this week with Words on Wednesday. Unless I hear from you guys and you think that maybe I should talk less, and then I might not be. Otherwise, thank you for tuning in, and stay safe.